Welcome, everybody, to Mud Flood Was Armageddon, the mud flood that everyone is talking about. And by mud flood, they mean Armageddon. It's over. Don't let anyone tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate you. And if you need any help, I'm always here in a fair and honest way. That's with no name calling, no fisticuffs. And, my set position is the 66 books of the Bible has always been enough. And if we can show, the curious things in the Bible, the Nephilim, the Elohim, the Watchers, I mean, it's all there in the 66 books. And until they get studied, do we really need to dig in to the other books? And oh my goodness. Anyway, it does come down to some really crazy things that have been going on. I'm going to be touching about understanding conspiracy and the basic overall message of he took a lot of mushrooms. He interacted with Nephilim that tried to trick him into believing that clowns were nothing to look into. So he looked into it, and all of a sudden, the clowns were Nephilim. And you shouldn't, anybody that ever does mushrooms, they should not do it. Well, I think everybody knows I did mushrooms. I did peyote. I tried to introduce microdosing to the VA in 2015. So that's my position. And I'm not going to, I can't go like, oh, I didn't do that. I did it and it worked. And the Bible was read as true. And everybody that reads it that way, they like that part of it. They try to put their own twist on it to throw themselves out there in the front. This is a judgment. And in their world, it's a new fad. It's oh, wow, let's just read the Bible that way. Instead of realizing, let's read the Bible that way because it was written that way and it's true. And my goodness, we're in trouble. Look at this guy. Got the globe here, got everything. But he must know what he's talking about. He's got the funny European accent. He's got the 70,000 almost subscribers. And does it make any sense to him, this crazy world?
And the price doesn't move, even with the Federal Reserve on the markets back the entire way. What is that actually telling us? That's the question we need to ask, and stop looking for the market to solve what is really a bipartisan political failure. So as I said, let's be prepared to become angry and depressed. And if you weren't angry and depressed before, I promise you will be after all of this. As I said, we're going to be using statistics from the $1 trillion in debt during a single year, hiding any of this, nor is it necessarily proud of it. It's just the way things are. But again, we need to ask ourselves the overriding question here. When the Treasury sells $5 trillion in debt during a single year and the price doesn't move, even with the Federal Reserve on the markets back the entire way, what is that actually telling us? That's the question.
It's not a question, is it? It's telling us that this is set up. They're riding this pony until all of a sudden the United States and Israel realizes they're not the boss of this world anymore. And it could be happening very, very soon. This atmospheric river, have you heard about that thing? The El Nino that's coming in and going to flood California again. 3 inches of rain flooded San Diego last week. This week, they're looking about 7 more. Yesterday was the 100th anniversary or 102nd anniversary of what one of those El Ninos. I'll show you. It's kind of weird. Look at this picture. This happened in 1921, so, pretty close. But January 29, it was one of these weird winter storms that came in.
Drop them below. while in others, where the ground was different, the stunning spectacle of a great forest, uprooted, presented itself.
Yeah, they just they couldn't even salvage all the trees. Billions of dollars of board feet. I'm thinking, what do we know about cloud seeding and everything else? I mean, oh my goodness. Did it happen then? It's happening now. Something's happening now. You're sitting around waiting for a restoration. They're floating $1 trillion. Sure, we'll buy your debt. They're propping them up for the great fall. The rest of the world doesn't feel sorry for the United States, nor really should they. This is an old video. Not too many views, but it was put out there for a good reason. And this is, you know, copied from, oh man, let's see, that's 32 minutes. But this is from 2017, 2016, when I just, got back from my second vision quest. Whitewashed. I was going.
And 600, 66. The 7 plagues. 1. Beast gave. This is exactly what I didn't want to do, is hear me rattle on. I think I have a better video about this, because I know it's hard for you guys to sit through unless you really want to sit down with a pen and paper and write these down.
Right, and some people do.
Anything else unless they're willing to debate you in a good look at what
so
we're
this
talking
is
about
when
here.
I was showing this like 4 years ago, 3 years ago now, as a reminder in case the channel Flat Earth Nation Golden Age Past ever went down. And this was when I was postulating that there was a time when Satan poured out the water and it revealed all of the aqueducts. And the Lord had provided this book called Aqueduct Hunting in the 17th Century by Rafael Fabrete, de Aquas and, canals and aqueducts of Rome. And that's when they started tracing them. And then John the Baptist came and people realized, oh my goodness, it's all true. And Jesus is the fulfillment. John the Baptist, everybody repented. Everything they knew was wrong.
They're trying to figure this out, how to get it up and running again. Honest to goodness, that's where they're going with this. And you can see it was topographical.
And these are the answers that convinced everybody else. And then the next thing you know, they won't answer a simple question I ask. Like I want to ask them, and I ask them all the time, show me one verse where Jesus sits on a throne for 1,000 years and glorified saints serve him for that whole 1,000 years. Just one verse is all I've ever asked for. And they don't have it. But everyone takes the information about the 1,000 years past and Jesus came, and they try to make it still preterism. Well, that's postmillennialism. They're waiting for Jesus to come back, and then the millennial reign starts again. They only think the temple was destroyed in 70 AD. They don't believe in the Golden Age past, that it was actually the Armageddon. The name of my backup channel that has a slew, this word my mom used to use. She was born and raised around Sikeston, Missouri, a Walton from around Missouri. And she used to say things like, go get me a slew of straws. Like, How many is that? It's a lot. It's as many as you can carry with your hand or something, you know. So it's all crazy. Yeah, but here's the same, you know, Vara, he's the reporter on the ground from Finland. The 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 Nephilim are clowns, the clowns are Nephilim. How many people got off the boat with Noah? 8 people. All people come from those 8 people. There are no more, you know, oh no, worry about the Nephilim. The Bible is full of Nephilim and giants, and they talk about them as late as King David, some Solomon. You know, there were still Nephilim. There's still people that are polydactyl that have 6 fingers and 6 toes, but they're never talked about as like, oh my gosh, they're demon blood. Never. After Genesis 11, there's no more hunting for Nephilim blood except for this time of the history. And it's not on purpose. I didn't start it. Randy didn't start it. That's all something they want to add to the mix. It's called, I'll show it to you. I think Loved Like the Rock of Ages was the Loved Like the Rock of Ages. And I love what I put on here. Oh, it doesn't show it. It had a whole thing, you know, a big long comment on one of the videos. But this is an interesting thing, you know, the devil poured it out. Do I get into any scripture to back it up, or do I just show the book? So here's the book of, like, all of a sudden people, you know, they were living in nice places, I'm sure. They were star fort cities, but they didn't know underneath it was this
Has
stuff.
changed. Wow, that was a good one on 51 Who. Aha. And let's see, where does it change to 52? You know, it's the opening that's, you know, they're figuring it out too. Conduit of the Aqua Vargo emptying itself into tank D, opening through which the water goes down into the underground chamber D. E, gate from which the water is carried down into another underground chamber. F, opening through which the water again rises.
So it's been one generation calling out to the next for quite a while. And they knew something was up. It didn't slow them down. So here's a little bit about the Bruges, and maybe this will help.
And died after the 1666 Gregorian Julian calendar flip.
No, this is before I locked in on saying, you know what, they use the Gregorian calendar. I'm going to use the Gregorian calendar. That's how I came up with using September 9/11 as the blessed are those who make the 45 after that, subtract the 290 years from the 1,290 days, and boom, there you go.
Flop when they added, you know, all these years, because it looks like I might have been right. Now, enjoy this as part of the message.
It is a flat earth nation. Don't let them tell you anything else. And
Right. And so when I recorded this, it's like the microphone was messed up. So let's turn it off. So there was what they call in their history a storm surge of 1134, the disaster of none. And they just talk about how something big poured into this area of the canal, washed all the way down to the city of Bruges, and then back out. See, it came in this and went out this tunnel. This was what they had then. They didn't know anything about the current structures. And so it washed up and showed a canal running this way and that way. And it led to Bruges. And then the people are going like, wow, we thought we had this city figured out. And now they're still talking as this poster is showing, you know, was it a storm surge? Was it not? What really happened? It exposed such a mess. But and I wish the recording was good. I wish they didn't take Flat Earth Nation down, because now some of those
about Bruges, but I couldn't find it. But we're going with what we got. But notice that it opened it up and returned it a different way. The history of this does not match.
It matches the Bible, and it got a lot of people interested. I think I just carry on like how the numbers.
I was wrapped up in the spirit at that time, realizing that I had just discovered that from Revelation, when the earth swallowed the water.
So you could tell that I made this portion of the video on July 11th, 2018. So that's the way beginning. And like I've said before, it was at that time, I think Randy, Doug, Wise Up, the girl from New Earth Channel, and then Age of Disclosure, but she's not even a flat earther anymore. And I don't think Understanding Conspiracy is a flat earther either.
That this is how they did it. It's down to Bruges and the exposure of the canals. That's what I'm going to be working on. That's what I need help on. That's the truth. We're not going to be like the people of this age who don't love God and have put their hope in man. The next 25 years is going to be an adventure, but it's going to be a life. Your life, my life, and the life of the elect, and the life of the lost. But what do we have to do? We have to make it. Blessed are those who make the 1335. Blessed are those who make the 1335.
Right.
If you're a man, please take off your hat. If you're a woman, please cover your.
That's the way. That's the way it should be. That's how come I took so much time in the last few days explaining, Sarah Hughes, how she was put in place, by Lyndon Johnson to be there, and then, once Kennedy is fake assassinated, she's the first woman and only woman to ever swear an oath of office, and then also when the dreaded conservative Jewish Republican was ready to vote for abortion rights, and the court just happened to be, Roe versus Wade, ends up in front of that set up person because everything's set up. And that's why they sell the debt. That's why it's all working together. And that's why, Biden stole the election. When hasn't an election been stolen since Kennedy's election? My goodness, they've all been fake. And okay, I wanted Shelley to find the Lord and be happy and raise her family, but if they think that we're getting it figured out, it doesn't really matter, somehow it's the lizard people. Were they on the boat with Noah? Because the Bible never talks about worrying about bloodlines after that.
Dynasty of Austria, even though it is still alive in the Luxembourg bloodline and likely the Spanish monarchical bloodline. The Ordo Draconis resides within the infamous Royal House of Stuart and its descendants, as well as in other mystic organizations of Great Britain. Now here, I'm just going to quickly focus on this. There are many stories of the British royals being what they call reptilians or lizard people. And there are actually interviews of people who say that they worked for them and saw them transform into these lizard people.
And of course, she doesn't say she's not saying she believes it, but a lot of people do believe it. And a lot of people believe that the United States Rangers fought giants in Afghanistan. Some people believe that there were giants recently down in Miami because, it's Atlantis. It's anything but Christ.
I'm not saying one way or the other whether this is true, but it's a fact that people talk about this. People claim to have seen it happen. And now we have this historical information that the bloodline that they come from, the dragon bloodline, is also known as the lizard people. You can't make this stuff up. So the last thing that we read, though, was
That's,
that
you know what? That's what I'm saying. You shouldn't be able to make this stuff up. So anyway, here's my homework. Some of the things I'm studying: bush rabbits, breeding like rabbits, getting these diseases and using it to kill rabbits. That's the first time in the 1950s to control wild rabbits. They used this virus. Symptom of a rabbit with the virus. They've used it a number of times. They say in 1788, and then again when needed and necessary, because the rabbits took over Australia. They've taken over other places, and when necessary, they are eradicated with viruses. I just thought that you should know that. I'm not studying this in a class. It just kind of came up. Old world diseases. Yes, I want to continue working. I want to show some of those PDF files. Social Darwinism. That's the thing that people have to understand and put into context. That from like 1850 on, wasn't it 49 when Darwin published his book? But they were already waiting for it. They already had the start of dispensationalism with Ellen White ready to put her nose into it and provide cornflakes and sugar for the masses, and hospitals that provide abortion to this very day. But overall, by 1880, all the freedoms gained in the Civil War had been lost, and Reconstruction era was over. All the laws had been reverted, and the states were passing laws that were based on eugenics and socialism, Darwinism. And then eventually, they never give the specific date, but it says by the early 1900s, the United States was ruled by the one drop rule. And that's what the cover up is. William Graham Sumner, sociologist at Yale University, penned this: the struggle for existence is aimed against nature. It is from her niggardly hand, and in the context, that just means stingy. It is from her stingy hand that we have to wrest the satisfaction for our needs, but our fellow men are our competitors for the meager supply. Competition, therefore, is a law of nature and nature's God. Well, the law, it's not, that's deism, Blavatskyism, spiritualism without Jesus Christ. And that's what Thomas Jefferson and those people believed. Nature is entirely neutral. It continues. Call it she submits to him who most energetically and resolutely assails her. She grants her rewards to the fittest. I've never heard that before. Therefore, because she regards and rewards the fittest, without regard to other considerations of other kind, only gives regards to the fittest. If then there be liberty, men get from her just in proportion to their works. So, you know, the white people were getting ahead because they worked harder, and that proved it. And well, just look around. Look around. That's the system of nature. It says, such is the system of nature. If you don't like it, if we try to amend it, there's only one way in which we can do it. We can take from those who are the better, take from the better, and give it to the worse. All right, that just cuts it right there. Because, and it's not saying they're, you know, oh, they're just lazy. They're just saying they're not evolved animals. Because spirituality, this whole Christian nation, it was really out the window, especially among the elite. We shall favor the survival of the unfittest, and we shall accomplish this by destroying liberty. You never hear that anywhere. They can't run their own government, they said of Iran and Iraq and Afghanistan. They're animals. They need us to conquer them and show them how to set up a capitalistic government. It is therefore a civil and political status that the nation has the freest institutions in which the guarantees of peace for the laborer and security for the capitalist are the highest. How are you laborers working out? Are you allowed to just sell your debt and live like nothing ever happened high off the hog? Or is your capital that you work for at risk right now? It's at risk right now. It's been at risk. So these are the things I'm studying. And you, Carnegie, you know, how do you rewrite history? You take a guy that was a monopolist, one of the resetters, and then, start giving away a few monies here and there, and remind people it's always been the good old times. Everybody else used to live in squalor, all the same, and now everybody's gone up. Sure, I'm richer, but you're better off now. The price society pays for the laws of competition, like the price it pays for cheap comforts like your cell phone and other luxuries, is also great. Yes, because they use slaves. But the white people then and the white people now don't give a rat's ass as long as they've got the phone. They know they're getting paid $1 a day, 14 hours a day with nets on the windows because they want to kill themselves, jump out to avoid another day of making cell phones because they're slaves. I mean, where's the line going? Sign me up. And so New York in the Gilded Age, where I'm reading this book about a known homosexual who became the most famous author of the 1880s. That's the 1880s, the 19th century, the 1880s. Horatio Alger, known homosexual, was let go because his dad promised he wouldn't do it again. Wrote a lot of books about rags to riches for children and the people that helped him out along the way. The most famous and the first was called Ragged Dick, published in 1868 as the hero and the John or the Carnegie type rich person that helped him. This is the town that they were walking through. And as they describe it, it's just it's alive and vibrant. The whole town is filled up. Sure, there's some poor kids along the edge, but most people are making it. And it is this thriving metropolis. This is my homework. This slideshow is provided by my professor, Dr. Lubrick. And this is what's described in the book where the young hero who worships the man who's showing him all the kindness, and he was a shoeshine boy, and now the next thing you know, he's hobnobbing at these fancy hotels, the Vanderbilt mansion, walking right past it, describing these buildings, and they were vibrant and full of life. They were not just empty streets. They talk about the rush hour. Began in 1869. Look at that's a construction photo. How about that? We've always wanted them, and Dr. Lubrick provides. And this is that was what happened. They can't fill up this city now. Half the offices are empty. Everybody's in debt, waiting for the atmospheric river to trigger something. Italian food cart. They're eating oysters. They used to have oysters everywhere in that bay. Look at that. 400 rooms for 25 cents a night. And it sounds like they were filled up every night. Now, I don't know. Look at this. Is that the reservoir that was in Central Park? Well, that seems more like that's what the book describes. Is this was your average walk down New York City? They're going to go give their regards to Broadway. Tell all their friends at 42nd Street, hello. So the roads look clean. They are busy. There's tons of streets. Steam engines are taking care of everything down there. These may be electric because I don't, yeah, probably. And then this does look staged. But I imagine there were some real bad things going on because the mobs were in control. And this is an article about a Danish, Denmark. Somebody did a study about how bad things were and was going like, what's going on in these cities? Why are people living like this? So those are some of the things that I've been studying. I want to just take this time to make sure we're still streaming. We are still streaming. Yeah. You got to, I mean, that's one of those things that's just really out there. Hello, Vic Noid. Vic Noid has been around a long time. I saw you leaving comments on those videos from 2020, and it warmed my heart. Loved like the Rock of Ages. Yeah. It just makes it proof that they're not afraid to use viruses. Like, gosh, did I really write a book about that in 2008? Yes. Yes, I did. So I do have some pictures. And then we're going to wrap it up. I got some homework to get ready for and some chowing down to do. Can they change people's minds? You know they can. In 1993, 56% of people in America just thought there should be no gambling involved in the professional sports. Well, by 2017, it's 33%. Who knows what it is today because legal sports betting funds the NFL and the other sports. Hey, somebody wanted to say, where's, where are we? What is the timeline? And Webb Denuvi made this a long time ago. I'm not sure where he is at today, but when he made a good graphic and he is a good web developer. And so whenever, whatever you want to say Armageddon was, was it 70 AD? That's the year they made up. It's easy. They want to stick with the Gregorian. We can just subtract the 1,000 years. They added it. Boom. It's all going to work. The 1,335 days from Daniel 12. You can read that, because that's what the narrow road is going to be filled with people that do their own Bible study. It's not going to be people that jump out and go like, hey, I'm not only on the bandwagon, but hey, we're going to have to move to the North Pole. Huh? Show me one verse. Hey, you hate my guts, don't you? No, I don't hate your guts. I just want to see one verse. Why do you hate me? That's the way it goes. So if you need to get a software to get a screenshot of this, and this should be 45-year period, because it's blessed are those who make the 1335 from the 1,290, the 1,290 years. That's 45 years. So no big deal. You still get it. And, we're after the 45 years right now, which should end up being like around 2046. We're at 2024. 2038, the eunuch's epoch. You ever see that thing about the eunuch's epoch thing? I haven't shown that in a while. Wasn't that a crazy picture? Some of these pictures of that big storm that hit in January 1921. I mean, my goodness, some of those trees, it was just huge. Oh, man. Let's see if it comes up under that. January 1st, that's when it started. Eunuch's time. So we'll open that up, but we'll also look up the 2038 problem. Now, I know that people right now are probably going to be saying, this is only going to be like the Y2K bug. No, that's exactly the planned, they planned that. That's what they do. They do think that far ahead. I know that you believe that they can think that far ahead. And do you know that they used a rare type of a language to program it that they found on Ogham stones that were on the property and dedicated to a Lord Bluetooth? I kid you not. This is the countdown to the overflow error that's going to occur January 19, 2038. And everything that's an embed. This isn't a Y2K. It might not happen. This one's going to stop. They say that they're working it, and they're going to act like it's not going to be a problem. But let me tell you, there are people worried about it. 2006, they already had problems with it. The whole idea, and then when if we had time to get more into the eunuch's time and the Lord Bluetooth and the Ogham stone and how they, this is a planned. It couldn't be any more planned by Satan. And they're going to be coming looking for people for your food. So after this, whatever is going to be happening, some people think it's going to be happening soon. I'm one of them. It could be happening very soon. Could be happening right now. So that's what we're going to find our hope and trust and truth in Jesus Christ, because everything he promised, good and bad, it's a narrow road for those who strive, who've been one, called, two, chosen, three, most importantly, faithful. His burden is light. His yoke is easy. It's a burden. You're yoked. You should want to be his willing servant. It is an honor. And then there's the Broadway, the Oprah way, the what difference does it really make way. You'll never hear that here, Lord willing. If you do, turn it off and then go back to where I'm going to be speaking the truth, because that's what I'm looking for. This is Flat Earth Nation. The golden age is past because the mud flood was Armageddon. Me and my friends are never going to tell you anything else. Why would we? We know we've been called to have your best interest at heart. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha. Arrivederci.